Okay, so again, another resource is to try to use what the state has available. So this was when we lived in Webster, DeCroto, Realty. Um, Basically, I felt like it was an invalid eviction because I had already told Mike that we had applied for COVID help. We were dealing with CAP New Hampshire, and I said we should be protected, under the COVID declaration. His money was on the way. I had lost work. He was up and down with whether he was going to sell or not, and we should have been all set until January 15th. And he was badgering us with eviction notices, etc. And then we also had rent punitively raised by $300 all at once in 2020, along with threats of the electricity being shut off, and recently, and now not being allowed to stay at the home uh, with personal attacks. So I remember this, and I remember the real estate person he had working for him who said, "Oh, you're being so mean because I stood up for myself. Mike's wife has cancer. When we moved there, she had cancer. So 4 years later, he's still saying, his wife has cancer and, he couldn't wait for the COVID declaration." So this is when it gets really sticky and, COVID affected everybody, okay? It wasn't just him. And he had plenty of other properties. And it's just, you have a family here, and you're just like, well, I'm not going to accept COVID. And you have a whole family that, needs to find a home. But I did feel like, okay, we're just going to let it go because I did pity him just a very rich man who just had to kick a family out in the wintertime. So use your resources. It all worked out in the end. He got his money plus more. And, COVID was something that was not other people's fault. There's nothing that you did. It was a government thing, and we know that half of it was bull, but, we know that a lot of it was from China and a setup. So, why should people, innocent people, have to suffer? So get the help that the government had, and we also, I think there was like one or two checks that we had too from the government. We didn't, keep staying, taking checks. I mean, I worked at a laundromat right through COVID. I worked there to make sure we had money. So yeah, I mean, sometimes you have to work through it. If you start feeling better, which I did after we applied, I got better and I was like, okay, back to work.